Welcome back to the channel. In our last video, we took a marina in Beaufort, North Carolina, visited some friends at their waterside cabin, headed on over to Oriental for lunch. Then we were in Belhaven in a marina, passed by Coin Jock. On our way to Norfolk, we hit some weather, and then we finally got in after a long day and met up with some PDQ royalty. The one and only Joel. In today's video, we leave Norfolk, Virginia and head out into the Chesapeake Bay where we have a nice ride north. We end up getting into a little bit of problem though with Mother Nature as a jellyfish sidelines us for a little while, and then we get a swarm and infestation. But we head on down to Cape May, New Jersey, where we spend a couple days at a marina. And then we head off on out into the Atlantic and up through New Jersey and into New York City. Have you ever dreamed of selling it all and cruising into the sunset? Well, that's exactly what we did. It's no fun going it alone though, so why don't you join us for the ride? After a night in Norfolk, Virginia, we head out into Chesapeake Bay and are greeted by fog, which seems to be more of the norm lately. Thankfully, the fog burned off in a couple hours, and it actually got quite steamy. The Chesapeake is a pretty wide body of water, and the wind can really kick up waves, but this was a low wind day, actually perfect for us as we head from the south towards the north, trying to get as far as possible. The last time we came this way, we got pretty beat up as we traveled north, as the winds were on the nose, but this day was the exact opposite. We were very fortunate. And oddly enough, boat traffic was pretty much at a minimum. It was getting pretty hot that day, and forecast for about 90 degrees and humid, so Lori found this great marina on the Delaware side for $1.50 a foot. I think it was right around $50 including electricity, Slaughter Creek Marina, so that's where we headed. We originally planned on anchoring out, but we wanted that air conditioning, especially after a long 122-mile day. Slaughter was a pretty no-frills marina with fixed docks, but you just couldn't beat the price. They do have some nice shore facilities, baths and showers, and also an on-site restaurant, but it wasn't open when we were there.
This looks like the ship store.
So we had a good day today on the Chesapeake Bay. We came from Norfolk, and we almost made it to Annapolis. We did 120 something miles, but Lori found a nice marina. It was like $1.50 a foot, so it's literally $50 to stay here with electricity and water for the night. So we're psyched to get here. I think we got here around 3:45, 4 o'clock, and put the air conditioning on. That was one of the main reasons, because it's 88 degrees out today, a little bit humid. Figured we just chill until the air conditioner threw an error code, and it was like on the panel it was like error P5 or something, and I googled it, and it was something obstructing the flow to the pump, and check your sea strainer. So I'm in the back of the boat, and I'm right now sitting kind of straddling the engine compartment, and down there is the sea strainer, and I took it off. I just cleaned it like a month ago. Sometimes like kind of algae or green gook forms, and something was restricting the flow, and Lori dumped it out in the sink, and it looks like it was a jellyfish. So we've got it running now. It looks like it's running, so it'll be a good night for us, but a bad night for the jellyfish. Just another day of boating. So I might not have explained myself real well there but the air conditioning unit on the boat, which is air conditioning and reverse cycle heat, what it does is it uses the seawater to cool and then also to heat. So that's it comes through a through hole or a hole in the boat and a line, and it has to pass through a strainer to make sure no outside objects or anything fouls it up and gets into the pump, which then circulates the water to the air conditioning unit. So that's basically how it works, and that's what was clogged by the said jellyfish, who became I guess Lori says chop suey, pretty much looked like chop suey. So sad, but had to sacrifice itself for the good of Island Time.
So the next morning we left early while the winds were down and headed north up the Chesapeake with the destination of just south of the C&D Canal, which is the Chesapeake and Delaware River Canal. We had to avoid a lot of crab boats out there and crab pots. Chesapeake is known for its blue crab, and there certainly are a lot of pots out there. So something we had to watch out for. So a little bit slow going at first, but once we got out to deeper water, we were just fine. As we pass Annapolis, there's always a lot of ships anchored out there, and we noticed maybe a little bit less this year than normal, maybe only like 4 or 5. In the past we've seen about 20, and I don't know if it was timing or maybe due to the tariffs, not sure. As you can see, there was very little wind, the water was like glass, and we were having an excellent ride north. This is the first time we've seen a cargo barge in our travels, and my guess is that this is for more localized transport and not destined to be like transatlantic. Thankfully, it was a nice clear day and not as foggy as we've been experiencing, because it would have been a little bit more challenging navigating around these ships using radar. Today was a bit of a shorter day at 85 miles from Slaughter Creek up to the Bohemia River just before the C&D Canal. We had anchored there a few years ago and had a great experience. Though we anchored off the channel, I decided to put the blue lights on just to have some extra protection so no one would hit us. That proved to be a mistake because apparently there was some sort of hatching going on, and we were inundated with thousands of these little flies. I think they were called midges, maybe related to mosquitoes. Early the next morning, we set off through the C&D Canal, which is an 18-mile canal built to connect the Chesapeake Bay with the Delaware River and eventually the Delaware Bay. We still had 100 or so of those midges hanging around, and Lori spent the morning trying to eradicate them from the upper helm. Overall, the 18-mile trip through the C&D Canal was rather smooth, except there's been some floating debris here and there that we had to watch out for and navigate around, but other than that, it was a great trip. The canal is sufficiently wide, so if there's commercial traffic along the way, it's pretty easy to pass them. To our good fortune, the current in the canal was with us, and we were able to do about 18 miles an hour with 15.6 knots. And usually we do about 12, 13 knots. So we are able to pick up about 3 miles an hour. Our luck ran out as we emptied out of the canal to the Delaware River, and we were greeted by dense fog. This navigating by radar thing was starting to get old. Things started to clear up a little bit as we approached the wider Delaware Bay. I always find this lighthouse in the center of the bay to be real interesting. Typically there's a number of boats out fishing all around it, but not today, probably due to the fog that was around. With it being clearer out, we were able to pick up our speed to over 15 knots, so about 17 miles an hour. for the trip towards Cape May, New Jersey. Approaching the Cape May Canal, which connects the Delaware Bay to Cape May, we were greeted with thick fog again and had to turn on radar. There were a lot of tourist boats and ferry boats around, so it was a little bit challenging. We were happy though to tuck in at the South Jersey Marina in Cape May, one of our favorite little spots there that's close to town and close to some great eating establishments. The marina wasn't cheap at I think around $165 a night for our boat, but in this case you get what you pay for because it's all about the location and the facilities are real nice. Island Time has a nice bath and shower on board, but apparently a lot of boats, especially older boats, don't really have that, and cruisers can come on shore and be treated to some nice facilities. A short stroll away is one of our favorite restaurants, the Lobster House, which is a combination seafood fish market and indoor and outdoor dining. We particularly like hanging out at the floating bar that's attached to the restaurant and adjacent to the marina we're staying at. I picked up some scallops, fluke, and stone crab on this trip. Everything is super fresh and the prices are great. We got back to the boat and saw that we have a new neighbor. My guess is that they would have invited us over for a cocktail, but it was a little chilly out. Cape May is well known for its Victorian architecture. It's quite the tourist town, with a number of the Victorians being bed and breakfasts. One of the more bougie places to stay is Congress Hall, and it's well worth a visit. So if you saw the Bob Dylan biopic called A Complete Unknown, starring Timothée Chalamet, you would maybe recognize some of these locations here. It was shot around Cape May, Congress Hall here, pretending to be Newport around the Newport Folk Fest, and the Viking Hotel, which is a brick building across from Congress Hall. Lori did a little bit of shopping, and I stumbled upon this church. So I went inside, and come to think of it, I should have said a prayer asking for better weather. We left the next morning, and you guessed it, fog and drizzle. Typically, we would take the Intracoastal Waterway north through Atlantic City and up to the Manasquan Inlet, but we were told that one of the drawbridges was inoperable, so we would have to go out to the ocean in Ocean City for, I think, about 8 miles, and then come back in at Atlantic City and do the rest of the ICW. The New Jersey part of the ICW gets really skinny, and this was no exception, and we kissed bottom a few times. One mistake that I made was, even though we only draw 3 feet, I should have checked the tide charts and left on a rising tide, and instead we kind of left at low tide. It was fairly lumpy out in the ocean, and we had to run radar, but it was only 8 miles, and then we came back into the Atlantic City Inlet. One positive about having to go out into the ocean was that we bypassed all the weights for the drawbridges, and we came into the inlet kind of early, so instead of anchoring near the inlet as we usually do, we figured we'd just keep going up to northern Jersey to the Manasquan Inlet area.
Greetings from Island Time. After I think about a 9-hour day, we came from Cape May, New Jersey, up to Atlantic City. Had to go outside for about 8 miles because a drawbridge was down. No big deal. It was a little rough out there, probably 3-foot swells on the beam. Then we decided to push on further, and we came up to the Manasquan Inlet, one of our favorite anchorages called Glimmerglass. I am waiting for the old drawbridge to open now. Apparently they're on the half hour, and I got here 2 minutes late. So we're just kind of hovering and waiting. long day today because it's extremely foggy. We had to run radar all the way from Atlantic City. Visibility was probably about 100 yards. Lori was helping me out quite a bit, just looking. Luckily, there weren't any idiots like us out there. There were not many. Number of people fishing, but they were stationary. It all worked out well though. We got here, and just because we're a little bit inland, the fog is just slightly lifted. And tomorrow, if weather looks good, we'll make a run for Long Island up through past Statue of Liberty and the East River. That's what we're banking on. And just hoping this weather kind of clears a little bit.
So slow, huh?
Don't get stuck.
This anchorage is just west of the Manasquan Inlet in northern New Jersey, and it's really nice, secluded, protected, and typically very serene.
Those are some good family values right there.
What's your definition of serene?
This is our morning headed up to New York City. It's going to be a nice foggy one. Hopefully not too rough out there. Glimmer glass opening up.
We left the Manasquan Inlet in full fog and headed north for about an hour and a half towards New York City, and then finally entered the Sandy Hook Channel to take us up to the city. Quite honestly, it was a little intimidating coming into New York Harbor in this type of fog. These dark red blips on the radar overlay show where there were ships either moving or parked in land masses. It was a relief to see the Verrazano Bridge. As we passed Brooklyn on the right, the fog started to clear. That being said, we could just barely see Lady Liberty. Our visibility greatly improved the closer we got to Manhattan. Once in the East River, things were pretty smooth, other than the commuter ferries, which throw huge wakes. After heading up the East River, we transitioned through Hell's Gate and off to Long Island Sound, and we were greeted by absolutely perfect seas, and we decided not to stop, to keep going. Gotta make hay while the sun shines. It was still a little bit foggy on the Long Island Sound, but we at least had a quarter to a half mile visibility, so no big deal. We decided to make our stopping point Branford, Connecticut, where a good friend lives, and we found a nice rate at the Branford Yacht Club. We only spent one night there, but Branford's a nice little spot and has a lot to offer. We wanted to celebrate finally getting to the Northeast, so our friend took us to a local eatery in Guilford, Connecticut called The Place. The Place is a family-owned eatery that's more like an outdoor barbecue grill, and you could choose to sit on a stump or sit at a table and chairs. One of their specialties is grilled clams with barbecue sauce.
Oh, got some nice little necks there, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Under the big top. Steph, what do you think? Crazy! Let's do this.
First night at the place.
First-
And a highlight for me was I got to meet this cutie at the next table who was just turning 1, and they asked me to join the celebration. You could say that we closed down the place. Now, for anyone interested in what it might cost to bring the boat from Florida up to Connecticut, here's a little bit of a summary and a cost breakdown.